Hi everyone. So a subscriber named Allison, she asked this question in another one of my videos, and I wanted to address it as a video because instead of typing a comment, because I think this is something that a lot of people have questions about. It is what are the causes of narcissism? Now, I'm not an expert, and so I'm not a professional or anything, but this is just stuff that I've observed, and I've also read about other people talking about it. So there's really not one thing that causes narcissism. There's several ways and I guess reasons why a narcissist becomes a narcissist. Okay, so first off, I'm going to say basically what narcissism is. And I got this off of the Mayo Clinic. And it says that it's a mental condition in which people have inflated self-importance. They're in deep need for excessive attention and admiration. They have troubled relationships and they lack empathy. So one of the most known causes for it is basically a narcissist was raised by narcissists themselves. They may not even know they were narcissists. The parents may not have known that they were narcissists. They were just basically becoming a product of their environment. Or they could have been in a relationship, like have a boyfriend, girlfriend, be married to someone who was a narcissist, and them being treated so poorly, it changed their personality, and so they started to act like how they were treated. And this also can happen with friends or someone that you're close to, like if you hang around them, like maybe when you have a best friend and you hang around them so much, you kind of adopt each other's personalities. And you may not know or see that they're a narcissist. You can, absorb who they are, and you kind of start acting like they do. And it can cause a person to become a narcissist. I also read somewhere that it can be genetic. You know how mental illnesses can be genetic? They can just be passed on from generation to generation. You hear a lot about how, one person was in a mental facility for years, and then their child ended up with a mental illness, and they had to go in a mental hospital, and so on and so forth, every generation. Another one is just having a dysfunctional family home life. Now, it's not just, their parents were narcissists. It's just having a dysfunctional family in general. They don't even have to be narcissists. It could just be lots of yelling and screaming. Having a lot of bad people in your family, and like I said, just the dysfunction can cause a child in that family to become a narcissist. Parents who are too strict, lacking any love or affection, can cause a child to develop narcissistic personality traits as sort of like a coping mechanism. And then there's also abuse, physical, emotional, sexual. Those are also, like I said, coping mechanisms is a lot of it. And a lot of in dysfunctional or abusive families, you learn that vulnerability is not acceptable, especially when your parent is the narcissist. They don't accept vulnerability at all. So that kind of gives the child the inability to feel any type of empathy towards other people or even for themselves. So that can cause one to become a narcissist. Another one, which is completely on the opposite side of the spectrum, which is parents who are friends with their kids. They don't hold their kids accountable for anything that they've done. They're not accountable for any of their actions. They're always defending their child, like, oh, it's not my kid's fault. They didn't do anything wrong. Or they're always bailing their child out of trouble. Sorry, my hair is sticking to my face. Okay, so what I want to say about this is you see a lot of kids who are completely spoiled, and they tend to develop a self-importance because their parents make them to believe that they are so important, that they never have any consequences for their actions. They don't have to clean up after themselves. They don't have to do anything for themselves. They should just be given things. Just because their parents have put them up on a pedestal. And so that has built that ego, and then they think that everybody else is beneath them. And what I want to say about this is, between my mother and my ex, now my mother is the overt narcissist, where my ex is the covert narcissist. His parents were the one who basically put him on a pedestal. They were friends with him. They didn't punish him. He never got in trouble. He has done so much to hurt our daughter. And his mother still posts on Facebook and stuff about how proud of him she is. Like, she just did it recently. Oh, I'm so proud of my son. Proud of him for what? Not paying support, not paying not paying attention to his child, not calling his child. Next week, actually in less than a week, at 4 days, I think it's 4 days, will be a year since he has seen our daughter, and it's been like at least 2 years since he's talked to her on the phone. So in my situation, the covert narcissist is the one who never held accountable for his actions. Everything he does is seen as perfect, even if he's mean to people. People are supposed to just laugh it off and say, that's just part of his personality. Whereas the overt narcissist, my mother, from what I heard, my grandfather, I guess their punishments were, his punishments with his kids were considered abusive. Well, in these days, they would be considered abusive. Back then, it might not have been. I guess, the way they punished kids way back in the day, in the 40s and stuff, they were pretty harsh. And that might be why a lot of adults nowadays are mentally messed up, because they were abused. And even though it was acceptable to be abused back then, getting a switch off of a tree, being beat with a belt, or being beat with whatever, power cords. My mother was also, allegedly sexually abused by one of my uncles when they were young. I don't know much about it, other than I guess he molested her or raped her when they were younger. There was some trauma in her life, and then there was another time where I guess she had to deal with the guilt of her mother's, like after my grandpa had died, my grandmother got a boyfriend, and my mom forgot her key to her apartment, and I think it was like on the 3rd floor or something, and the boyfriend, I guess she got the boyfriend to go up the fire escape or something, and I don't know, to try to go through a window, and I guess the fire escape fell and the guy fell to his death, so she had to witness her mother's boyfriend die because of that, because she forgot her key, but it wasn't her fault. It was the fault of whoever put the fire escape there and whoever's in charge of the safety of it. And because narcissism can be passed down from generations, my grandmother might have been one, and maybe she blamed my mother for it and made her feel guilty for a long time for her boyfriend's death. Not really sure. Like I said, it's just the covert narcissist had the friendly parents, whereas the overt narcissist had the abusive parents, or had like tragedy in her life. So anyway, there might be more reasons why someone would become a narcissist, more different ways that they could be, but these are just the ones that I know of. If you want, you can always Google and check to see if you can find more, or if you know any other ways other than what I've listed here, go ahead and comment down below. And thank you, Allison, for that question, and hopefully what I've said here can help some of you understand a little bit. Okay, take care. Totally forgot one more thing. Okay, so I wanted to add a little bit extra to this video, just so that you know that there's no cure for narcissists or narcissism. Therapy can help. It'll help, and that's if the narcissist even recognizes that they have a problem. I'm just betting that 99% of the time, a narcissist isn't gonna be all like, oh, hey, I have a problem, let me go see a therapist. But sometimes, and it very rarely happens, that they do recognize that there is something wrong with them. But they have to actively work on changing their attitude, and they have to maintain realistic expectations, not only just for themselves, but also for other people. And they also have to actively work on replacing their negative behaviors with positive ones. I'm just gonna say that, I mean, it's a very slim chance. As of right now, I say there's slim hope for most of us to be able to have parents that are good parents. And that's okay, because if we go no contact, we can just move on with our lives instead of hoping that our parents will change. Because most likely they're not going to change. If you're one of the few where your parents have changed or are actively trying to change, that is really awesome. And if that is happening to one of you, I would also like to hear about that. If your parents or whoever your narcissist is actually going to therapy to help them. Because with my ex, we went to therapy once, and our therapist saw right through him and told him that he was the problem, and then all of a sudden my ex didn't want to go to therapy anymore. So I think the therapist kind of, I don't know, the therapist should have known better than to just outright say that. Maybe he should have been a little bit more sensitive to it. But the damage is already done. And there's, many years have passed, so we're beyond that. So anyway, go ahead and comment. If you have any other questions, go ahead and ask. Have a good one.